This news program is proudly brought to you by
Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits
and Now Biscuits.
Telecom Limited is the silver sponsor of the 2023 World Indigenous Business Forum. Minister Kua announces the extension of the state of emergency on fuel. And medical students from the University of Papua New Guinea stage a protest over legacy issues. Good evening, you're watching National EMTV News. I'm Malcolm Wyra. Thank you for joining us. Telecom Limited has come on board to be the silver sponsor of the upcoming World Indigenous Business Forum, with a total sum of 100,000 kina presented to the organizers, the Ministry of International Trade and Investment. This event was done at the APEC House in Port Moresby.
Telecom Limited has shown its support towards the upcoming World Indigenous Business Forum, which will be hosted for the first time in Papua New Guinea on the 24th to the 26th of October 2023. Telecom Limited CEO Amos Tepi gave his address.
Our sponsor to the world event that is going to be held here in PNG. We've seen this is a big event for first time ever. I understand it's been held outside of the country, other countries.
Tepi added that the support shows Telecom support as a nationally owned company.
So therefore, we are 100% owned company, Telecom Limited, and also it's a fit-in for Telecom to support SARS event next month when the event happened here in Port Moresby.
Upon receiving the check presentation, Minister for International Trade and Investment Richard Maru acknowledged Telecom Limited's support.
CEO and Telecom, clearly it makes a lot of sense when Telecom comes and becomes also a sponsor to support the World Indigenous Business Forum, because you are an indigenous company owned by the 11 million people of Papua New Guinea.
The World Indigenous Business Forum is usually hosted by indigenous organizations around the world. However, for PNG, it is for the first time that the PNG government is taking the initiative to host with a sponsorship of 2 million kina. Minister Maru further elaborates.
So far, we have got 4 platinum sponsors who have pledged 300,000 kina each, and we are extremely grateful that Telecom, our indigenous telco, has come forward today to support us to host the event.
Telecom Limited, now as the silver sponsor of the forum, will be getting the overall value of its sponsorship by offering its services at the time of the forum coming October. Grace Papiali, National EMTV News.
Santos have made a funding commitment of 300,000 kina to support the hosting of the World Indigenous Business Forum. This was supported the International Department of International Trade and Investment. Santos Country Chair for PNG and Minister for the International Trade and Investment, Richard Maru, held a press conference this morning to make this announcement. This now enabled Santos to be the platinum sponsor towards the forum.
The World Indigenous Business Forum is expected to draw 2,000 delegates from both international and local background that will set the benchmark for PNG's trade history. As the Department of International Trade and Investment looks forward to hosting the event, which is said to cost 6 million kina, in which companies and businesses have stepped in to support the event. Santos, a company that engaged well with the landowners from various projects areas, today announced their platinum sponsorship towards the forum.
The one standard, it's truly international standard of safety, of governance, of investment in people, of doing business, and this is another evolution and acceleration towards that.
Minister Maru, during the announcement, applauded Santos for their support towards this significant event, highlighting that this will transform the operation of local businesses across the country, and made an appeal to other business houses for support.
We do need help to be able to fund the entire program. It is not cheap to bring speakers from around the world and host a two-day intentional event like this. So we are extremely grateful. We have to raise at least 4 million, and your sponsorship today will go a long way in helping us raise the 4 million we need to host the event.
Maru reiterated that the forum will create a great networking opportunity for landowner company, and he further explained the benefit of a platinum sponsor.
I'm extremely grateful that you are the second corporate platinum sponsor after TISA. 2 other government departments have also become platinum sponsors. And we are hoping that a few more corporates after you find an example will also join us to become platinum sponsors. All the platinum sponsors will automatically have 5 delegates, and you'll be given a booth to promote your goods and your services and your company.
Maru added that regardless of all the negativity the media says about PNG, this is the opportunity where we showcase PNG to ensure people see the country from a different perspective. Over 300 companies have registered and many are queuing up for registration. Sharon Engnui, National EMTV News.
Minister of Environment, Conservation and Climate Change, Simo Kilepa, announced the second National Climate Change Summit. This summit will bring together leaders, experts and stakeholders from diverse backgrounds to engage in substantive discussions centered around the theme climate justice and social inclusion.
Papua New Guinea is highly vulnerable to the impacts of climate change. Rising sea levels, more frequent and severe weather events, and change in rainfall patterns are already affecting the country's both coastal and highlands communities, agriculture and infrastructure.
The summit brings together policymakers, scientists, environmentalists, business leaders, civil society representatives, and international experts to engage in vital discussions centered around the theme climate justice and social inclusion.
Minister Kilepa added that there is a need to clearly amplify the voices of our most vulnerable in a socially inclusive manner to make the case for a justified response to the adverse impacts of climate change. The Climate Change and Development Authority, or CCDA, Acting Managing Director William Larkine highlighted the organization's major policy drives.
The amendment of the Climate Change Act 2023 has been through all the vetting processes and is awaiting for the November Parliament sitting, which obviously the Honourable Minister will take you to the November sitting. Second major policy drive under his leadership is the RED Plus safeguards. That has also been through all the vetting processes, and it is at NEC level to be endorsed. The third major policy drive under his leadership is the climate change carbon trade management regulations.
The summit will be hosted by CCDA with close to 300 participants comprised of leaders, experts and stakeholders from diverse backgrounds. Meanwhile, Minister Kilepa thanked sponsors that have come on board to support this summit. Amanda Ilaitia, National EMTV News.
Following the official trip to Jerusalem in Israel, Prime Minister James Marape attended the ASEAN Summit in Indonesia. He had the opportunity to have talks with the President of Indonesia, His Excellency Joko Widodo. The two leaders discussed important matters beneficial for both countries.
The two leaders underscored the significance of respecting territorial integrity and sovereignty and reaffirmed their commitments to maintain ongoing dialogue to build stronger and trustful relations. On the electrification project, the two leaders expressed appreciation on the Wutung Power Project and pledged to work together. As a follow-up to their meeting on the 5th of July 2023 in Port Moresby, the two leaders stressed on the need to expedite the conclusion of trade agreement to reduce tariff barriers that will benefit both sides by encouraging increased flow of trade activities. On alleged human rights issues in West Papua, Prime Minister Marape informed that owing to its own human rights challenges, PNG has no moral grounds to comment on human rights issues outside of its own jurisdictions. President Widodo also informed of Indonesia's commitment to also building trustful and cooperative relations with Pacific Island countries and will extend an invitation to Pacific Island countries' leaders to attend the ISA Forum in October this year in Indonesia. The two leaders expressed satisfaction on the ratification and implementation of Visa on Arrival Agreement for diplomatic and service passport holders. The opportunity for downstream processing gold from copper is immense, which both leaders agreed to explore. Finally, on human resources and training, Prime Minister Marape requested President Widodo to support more PNG students to study in the leading Indonesian educational institutions. Sharon Engnui, National EMTV News.
Hela Provincial Police Commander Superintendent Joseph Tondop has risen out on police responses towards tribal fights in the Highlands region. PPC Tondop stated that he has established mechanisms in place for smooth policing in Hela Province.
Hela Provincial Police Commander Superintendent Joseph Tondop declared that currently there is no serious issue of tribal fights in Hela Province. He stated that police have a vital role to play when it comes to addressing law and order.
Why trouble fights do happen is because police don't respond to those trouble fights very quickly. What is happening in Henga is a classic example of lack of quick police response.
PPC Tondop further explained.
We are living in tribal communities, so one problem in the clan is caused by one person alone, but it becomes the tribal issue now. What this is happening because they see that the law enforcement is not there.
PPC Tondop stated that he established prevention matters in place for the smooth functioning of police operations to tackle lawlessness in Hela Province.
I've come up with some crime prevention strategies, one of which is we've set up a checkpoint up at Hambua. In that checkpoint, we check all the, which you look out for beer, we look out for. There's a liquor ban in place, which is really helping us. So we are looking out for beer, we're looking out for weapons, we're looking out for ammunition.
Furthermore, his plans going forward is to see an increase in manpower in the province, recruit more reserve police, request the support of the PNG Defence Force, build effective radio network, surveillance, CCTV and drone operations. More importantly is to manage police information systems. Grace Papiali, National EMTV News.
National EMTV News continues after the break with more stories. Stay with us. You're watching National EMTV News. Minister for Petroleum and Energy, Karen Gakua, today announced the extension of the SOE on fuel, which came into effect on the 31st of July. This is to ensure effective service delivery.
Upon the advice from the National Security and the National Executive Council, Minister Kua announced a state of emergency on the fuel shortage crisis and gave directions to parties involved on July 31st, 2023. Minister Kua further explains on how the SOE came about.
Declaration, I issued a number of directions. The first direction was directed at Bank of Papua New Guinea to maintain supply of foreign exchange to Puma Energy so that they can be given the ability to continue to pay for fuel from overseas and bring it into Papua New Guinea and then distribute it. Secondly, I issued a direction to Puma Energy to maintain the fuel supply and especially jet fuel.
Through a series of consultation, they have two outcomes, as alluded to by Minister Kua.
Maintain the interim supply of fuel. That's the end objective. Maintain the interim supply of jet fuel and general fuel as well. And that we've been able to do successfully, and I'm thankful for that, and express my gratitude to all the stakeholders who've come in to the roundtable and supported our dialogue and our efforts. Secondly, we have also had to, we've also been able to, with the cooperation of the Bank of Papua New Guinea, maintain an appropriate level of supply of foreign exchange to the licensed banks.
Kua highlighted that they have also looked at providing long-term stability and announced that the second declaration that will cover the period from 1st to the 30th of September and outlines the objective of the extension.
Again, the objective of the extension or the new second declaration of an emergency is to maintain the work we've been doing towards achieving both our short-term and long-term targets. Short-term is to maintain the fuel supply, maintain the foreign exchange supply, maintain the level of cooperation that we've already established between all stakeholders I've mentioned earlier.
Sharon Engnui, National EMTV News.
Prime Minister James Marape has commended the government of Indonesia and the International Monetary Fund for their commitment in promoting sustainable development. Prime Minister Marape made this commendation when delivering his keynote address on the first day of the Indonesia's Sustainability Forum hosted yesterday in Jakarta, Indonesia.
Prime Minister Marape said Indonesia has made great strides in addressing climate change over the years and is making great progress. He was also encouraged to hear that the International Monetary Fund recognizes that the climate crisis is at the final charge of our time. PM Marape was also encouraged to hear that the Managing Director of International Monetary Fund is just as concerned as all the other countries affected by climate change that it would affect the financial stability of all affected countries and are making funding available to assist with protecting the last carbon sinkholes in the world, the remaining rainforest. He then commended President Widodo and Indonesia for not just hosting the Sustainability Forum but also setting national targets. He said in PNG, despite the carbon negative status, the nation continues to subscribe to the principles and ethics of sustainable development to protect and sustain the huge tropical forest and mangrove areas. He concluded by saying PNG looks forward to combine forest and mangroves into a South Asia-Pacific regional resource pool so the collective work complement the sustainable development focus. Sharon Engnui, National EMTV News.
St. John Ambulance PNG has joined the international federations, societies and charities today to mark the World First Aid Day at the St. John Ambulance headquarters in Port Moresby. The World First Aid Day falls on every second week of September.
This year's theme is First Aid in Digital World. The ever-advancing technology is a huge opportunity for the first aid. allowing us to educate faster and potentially further than ever before. Digital technology allows anybody with or without internet access to learn first aid. St. John Ambulance first aid trainers have collectively trained 2,760 first aiders in the communities, workplace and schools so far, and are looking forward to equipping more people with first aid knowledge and skills. The first aid training also trains students under the First Aid in Schools program, which is a partnership between Sir Brian Bell Foundation and the St. John Ambulance to teach students basic first aid. So far, under the program, have trained more than 9,000 students since its inception in 2018. This year, the First Aid in School team has trained 962 students in 21 schools across 4 provinces, namely East New Britain, Western Islands, Morobe and Simbu Province. In celebration of World First Aid Day, St. John Ambulance will have an information booth in Port Moresby at the Brian Bell Plaza, where the public is welcome to visit and learn more about first aid. Louis Maingu, National EMTV News.
The Port Moresby General Hospital's physiotherapy unit, in partnership with CPL Physiotherapy Team and MoneyPlus Limited, have come together to commemorate World Physiotherapy Day in Port Moresby today.
Physiotherapy is a medical specialty that uses manual treatment, physical exercise, and electrotherapy to help patients restore and maintain their physical mobility, but can be complementarily used in medical and surgical interventions. Executive Manager for National Department of Health, Vali Karo, said, for this year's World Physiotherapy Day, the focus is on arthritis. He said, arthritis is a common disease among many Papua New Guineans that stiffens and affects the joints, and it is very painful in most circumstances. Karo says there is no guaranteed way of preventing arthritis. However, it can be reduced if people practice healthy habits such as a balanced diet, regular exercise, maintaining healthy weight, and protecting your joints from injury. He went on to explain the importance of physiotherapy in the treatment of arthritis.
The importance of physiotherapy. So from the National Department of Health to the credit, the physiotherapy, it's a very important work that they do, because they work behind the scenes. You don't sort of see them visibly, but they provide a very good role.
The celebration was very interactive, where the public was able to access free physio consultation sessions, rehabilitation advice, free exercise prescription and demonstration offered by the Port Moresby General Hospital Physio Department. The World Physiotherapy Day is commemorated annually on 8 September by physiotherapists around the world to promote the role of physiotherapy in managing different conditions. Gladys Killer, National EMTV News.
Governor of National Capital District, Paul Sparkop, is urging every citizen of the country to be a wise consumer and watch their diet.
The governor is concerned because lifestyle diseases have become common and the number of people diagnosed is increasing every day. Governor Power stated lifestyle diseases are preventable when we practice preventative measures and be mindful of our diet. He added, our immune system becomes weaker when lifestyle diseases affect us. Hence, a healthy diet is vital for our health. The governor went on to share his experience on how a healthy diet practice improved his health.
Gout some time, but now I manage it. 2011. So now me manage him. So minus axima take too much. I have to change my diet, change my lifestyle. So I stop having a gout attack. Also uric acid level for me that caused gout has not really gone down, but I've managed it, so I don't have to worry about gout. It's a matter of diet and lifestyle.
National Department of Health Executive Manager Vali Karo shared the same sentiment.
It's your business, health is my business. So like the good governor said, if we want our health to be good, then we must have good healthy habits. Healthy habits like, what we eat. We must eat good food. We must have good ways of, how we live our life.
Gladys Gila, National EMTV News.
Papua New Guinea Forest Authority have signed a memorandum of understanding with the University of Technology, specifically its forestry department. The MOU paves the way for both parties to foster education, training and research, and for foresters at PNGFA with diploma to upgrade to a degree or higher degree programs, either at the Bulolo University College or at Unitec, to improve their work performance.
The MOU was signed by the PNGFA Managing Director, John Mosoro, in the presence of the Unitec Head of Forestry Department, Dr. Kosiosi. As part of the MOU, the Unitec third and fourth year forestry students will be taken on by the PNGFA during the Christmas vacation for their 60-day professional work experience, or PWE, which is a mandatory requirement for students to be eligible to graduate. The 3-year MOU will also look at the cadet program, where PNGFA will recruit high-potential students after completion of their studies. Dr. Yossi expressed his gratitude to the Minister for Forest, Salia Waipo, who was present for the occasion.
Communities. And by way of this MOU, we are now reaching another milestone in the forestry sector. The MOU basically has 3 objectives. Number 1 is to foster education, training and research in the country. Number 2, those PNGFA employees, our colleague foresters who have finished from the Bulolo University College and would like to upgrade their qualifications, this MOU paves the way for them so that they can come and undergo higher education at the institutions. And the BUC or Bulolo University College has now upgraded the diploma program to the degree program. As I said in today's conference, we are now running 2 degree programs parallel to each other.
Dr. Yossi also thanked the PNGFA Managing Director for his support since his appointment in 2021 through his visits to Unitec, which resulted in the MOU. Dr. Yossi said Unitec Forestry Department look forward to working with PNGFA following the signing of the MOU. Estagane, National EMTV News.
Staff of the Papua New Guinea Forest Authority have been reminded that they are custodians of the people's forest resources and as public servants must work with the government to deliver its government's directives so people can benefit fully from their resources. The Minister for Forests, Salia Waipo, gave this reminder when launching PNGFA's 3 strategic policy documents at the research arm of the PNGFA, the Forest Research Institute in Lae, Morobe Province.
The 3 policy documents launched are the National Forest Development Program, or NFDP, 2023 to 2027, PNG Timber Legality Standards, or TLS, and Forest and Land Use Chains, or FLUC. Minister Waipo reminded those present that PNGFA is going through a major reform to change people's perception of how the organization does its business, and one way is through the implementation of such strategic policy documents. Meanwhile, PNGFA Managing Director John Mosoro explained that the TLS will define the legality of timbers and other wood products that leave PNG's shores, while the FLUC report will assist in the reporting of national-level forest cover and changes within 19-year period between 2000 to 2019.
Before the launching, the PNGFA conducted a day of training on the NFDP 2023 to 2027 and the multipurpose of National Forest Inventory on 23rd August 2023 at the FRI, which was attended by PNGFA's provincial forest managers, reforestation and afforestation regional managers and their coordinators throughout the country, researchers and staff from the FRI and other key government and non-government partners. Esther Gane, National EMTV News.
And now to the market report. The kina closed unchanged at $0.2770 US in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.2695 US, $0.4202 Australian dollars, 0.2445 euros, and 39.35 Japanese yen. Looking at the commodity prices, at New York closed, gold is trading higher, coffee closed lower, cocoa closed lower, copra closed lower, palm oil closed lower, crude oil is trading lower, copper closed lower. On the stock market, the Dow Jones closed higher, the ASX 200 is trading lower, the All Ordinaries is trading lower. National EMTV News continues after the break. Stay with us. You're watching National EMTV News. Today, nearly 800 angry students from the University of Papua New Guinea attending the medical faculty in Port Moresby took a strike due to legacy issues the students have been faced with for many years now. According to the students, the strike today comes after 2 medical faculty students were rushed into Port Moresby General Hospital after eating food packed in takeaway containers prepared by a service provider to the school, where the students were admitted and treated for food poisoning. Students say they have had enough and want the institution to start making clear and fair decisions and assist the School of Medicine immediately.
Upon arriving at the School of Medicine this morning, students of the medical faculty were scattered everywhere, fuming with anger, as they followed the Vice-Chancellor of the University of Papua New Guinea, Professor Frank Griffin, who visited the facilities at the medical faculty. Angry students carrying posters also yelling in frustration, concerned about their future, the future of the next generation of medical professionals of this country. But not only that, the type of services that the premier university in the country, the University of Papua New Guinea, failed to provide, that the students are not satisfied with. Many of these students say the school is not of university standards, especially when many of the services offered are not properly carried out by UPNG. The many issues faced by the students, referred to as the legacy issues, the students are faced with today includes lack of electricity, no backup generator, rundown ablution blocks, to students lining up every morning to use only one shower, to no proper study facilities or library, to no free Wi-Fi or internet access in order for them to do their research online, to run-down dormitories, even training facilities with no proper labs for students to do their practical.
We want the mess to be renovated starting tomorrow. Starting tomorrow. With contractors, starting tomorrow. So that we know that next year we will have a mess. It might take a week, it might take a month, but start it tomorrow.
You look in Papua New Guinea, development of Papua New Guinea have started health worker. For the last 60 years, SMHs produced the health workforce in this country.
And the worst part is that we miss out on our right, on the basic right. Government give mipla right on bla. When deprived mipla is the tester scholarship.
So most of the time when we went in there for lectures, when the power went out, everything just shut down. So our lecturers just stopped the lecture and students, they dismiss the students.
Also highlighting a summary of the many challenges students of the medical faculty are facing to date was student representative Elijah Sepp.
We won't go to class unless something is done. No one is doing exam unless something is done.
Also representing a provincial health authority and studying at the University of Papua New Guinea's medical faculty is Rondi Tumusi, who is not happy with the services provided.
Yumi Baim, Datana Yumi is a phone Lamibla. We are spending more than 15,000 kina to get a degree paper here.
The student presented their petition letter to the Vice Chancellor of the University of Papua New Guinea to hear their cry and make things happen. Professor Griffin assured the students that the work to help support their grievances starts today and that the University of Papua New Guinea will act upon to help solve the many issues the students are faced with.
We have seen and heard what the issues are, what the concerns are. All we need to do now is roll up our sleeves and start doing the work.
Godwin Eki, National EMTV News.
Lacking research facilities and no access to Wi-Fi or free internet, students at the medical faculty have been left to some extent find answers and learn from research due to not having enough lectures or training staff. While demanding to having more training staff, students say many of the lecturers or trainers are hesitant to come and teach because services provided by the institution is not up to standards.
Students at the School of Medicine in Port Moresby today raised concerns regarding the lack of staff provided by the University of Papua New Guinea. Students say they are given notes only, but in order to do research, need much explanation. It's something they need to do on their own, where students are struggling to not only concentrate in their studies, but it is also affecting their learning.
Staff house. And most of our tutors are living up there. Talk about good packages and me to talk now. Change him. If you want more for BMIs to perform, we need good houses for staffing non-plan. That's where, how would that affect us as a student? And me talk when we have our staff, enough staff inside LAPE, BMIs per perform. Right now, BMIs are always behind.
Lack of training facilities, especially labs, lack proper medical equipments, let alone the buildings are not up to standards and need refurbishments.
And all of that time, one of our staff and fight on the man blame because she stayed up with us to do our research project until 3 a.m. And the other one just lost an unborn child yesterday because of the pressure and stress of we final year students. With all this shortage of staff, yet there's a lot of requirements that we need to meet.
And why? Because understaffing. And that is one issue when we're addressing understaffing. With the understaffing as well now, an issue as well arises to this listed. Clinical placements for 40 years for me. Our 40 years are suffering with clinical placements.
Also speaking on behalf of the students is Rondi Tumusi, who challenged UPNG to not depend so much on foreign aid, but rather use the millions of kina the government makes or receives from the many natural resources the country has, so that the next generation of the country's medical professionals are supported.
Yumi Baim, Datana Yumi is a phone Lamibla. We are spending more than 15,000 kina to get a degree paper here. These things, I don't want my colleagues back at the provincial level to come and face it again next year. We are paying tax, 700, 800 kina fortnightly while here. Why are we not getting the service that we're supposed to get?
They are calling on the University of Papua New Guinea to immediately look into the many issues that students have highlighted from today's peaceful protest. Godwin Eki, National EMTV News.
The book Bilon Pikinini today ended a week-long celebration of the Literacy Week with the launching of a book in the When I Grew Up series. Support organizations like Total Energies and Sir Brian Bell Foundation were there also to witness the day, with guest speakers from St. John Ambulance and the local plush toy designer, Mariba May Igara.
Book Bilong Pikinini today launched When I Grow Up, I Want to Be a Zookeeper, featuring a student with a role model, zookeeper Rose Bernadette Wakrima. The book launch also coincided with the launch of a coloring book called Animals of Papua New Guinea. A snake awareness presentation was also conducted by a St. John's ambulance officer. This information is vital for young children as they are often victims of snake bites.
Children were also introduced to local designer of PNG endangered animals plush toys, Mariba May Igara, who was present to talk on the endangered animals that are found in PNG. Igara said for all purchase of a Bed of Paradise, 3 kangaroo, Kaskas turtle and cassowary plush toys, a kina will be donated to the preservation of the endangered animals in the country. The day ended with the children visiting the park to see the animals they have been studying throughout the Literacy Week. Tamara Agavi, National EMTV News.
During the donation of books yesterday by the High Commissioner of India to PNG to the Central Governor's Office, His Excellency Imbasarkar Sundaramurthy also made mention a planned limb prosthetic clinic camp that the Government of India, through his office, is planning to provide.
Lifestyle diseases such as blood vessel disease, diabetes, and blood clots are some of the causes of people losing limbs as well as in an accident. Yesterday, Indian High Commissioner to PNG, Imbasarkar Sundaramurthy, said that the Indian government, through its office, will set up a prosthetic limb clinic with the assistance of the Port Moresby General Hospital to treat and give prosthetic limbs to 300 plus patients from central and surrounding Port Moresby.
Not even one toya. Completely done free for minimum 300 people up to 600 people. We are looking at the Department of Health and POMGEN to help us organize. We are going to bring 95% of the cost will be borne by us. We just ask from land and some electricity to help us set up the camp, and POMGEN is ready to do that. I will ask this occasion, why not Central Province give a list of their names of the people who have lost their limbs. Excellent. And we need at least 300 numbers.
High Commissioner Sundaramurthy went on to say that the clinic will be made free for the 300 plus patients. However, no date has been announced for the team from India to come over to the country. Tamara Agavi, National EMTV News.
National EMTV News continues after the break with Trukai Sports. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The Oceania Football Confederation confirmed that Papua New Guinea and Samoa have withdrawn from the OFC Under-16 Women's Championship, which is to be played from the 13th to the 30th of September 2023 in Tahiti. As per the OFC's Under-16 Women's Championship 2023 regulations, both Papua New Guinea Football Federation and Football Federation Samoa will be referred to the OFC Ethics and Disciplinary Committee. With the Hidomo Nights competition set for November this year for Alatau, the president of Hidomo, Noel Aria, previously expressed that support is much appreciated. Yesterday, the tournament received assistance from the office of the member for Alatau, Ricky Morris.
With the upcoming competition being one of the first for Alatau and promises much positive engagement for the youths, much appreciation was shared by the managing team towards the financial support. 2 checks were presented yesterday to the league totaling to a sum of 25,000 kina by the district administrator Wilson Hillary on behalf of the Alatau MP's office. From the checks presented, the check worth 10,000 kina is for gym equipment, and the check of 15,000 kina is part of assistance for the Hidomo Nines tournament in November. The president for Hidomo Rugby League, Noel Aria, expressed gratitude towards the support.
On behalf of Hidomo Rugby League competition and also the Nines program itself for November 6 to 10, I'd like to on behalf of my agency, I'd like to say thank you very much from the bottom of our heart. And I know, rest assured, that this money will go into good use. And hopefully, money set aside for the Knights we'll try our best to take it back. We'll make sure it doesn't go out. Other teams doesn't come and take it. We'll make sure we'll get it back. Thank you very much, DA and member.
The Hidomo Nines competition is set to take place on the 6th to the 10th of November this year in Alotau. Natasha Ovoy, Chukai Sports.
Chukai Sports continues after the break. Stay with us.
Chukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
The weather forecast for the next 24 hours. For the southern region, Port Moresby City, brief showers with inland thunderstorms. Daru, windy. Kerama, few showers with possible thunderstorms. Alotau, few showers. Popondetta, some showers.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
And that wraps up the news, sports and weather for Friday, the 8th of September, 2023. From all of us here, pleasant viewing. Good night.
This news program was proudly brought to you by Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits and Gold Nuggets.